Whoa. Who's eating something?
Ooh, is food an option?
No!
Welcome to Owen and Beru's barbecue. Today we are cooking up whatever is left in Captain Rex's rations from the Clone Wars. So spoilers ahead for the final 2 episodes of the Clone Wars. I am joined by the very finest chefs in the galaxy tonight. We have Jay and Colleen, the Anakin and Padme of podcasting.
Oh, I don't know if that's a good comparison.
You turned her against me.
I didn't say which one was which. And my
Maybe I'm the Anakin.
You're breaking my heart. You're going where I can't follow.
It's all Nicholas's fault. He's holding me back.
And that is the other person I'm joined with is Nick, the Beru to my Owen, the child to my Mandalore. Stop trying to force choke me through this conference call. And I am Matt, and we are here collectively as a foursome to talk about those last 2 episodes of Clone Wars. So again, spoilers ahead. We're going to just.
Oh, yeah, wait, what happened to them again?
You are now kicked off, Colleen.
All right, peace.
I thought you were all cool and stuff, changing your avatar to, Ahsoka.
Ahsoka.
She's a poser.
I'm a poser. I look like Don Finger.
But that's what I'm interested to hear about from Colleen, is just because I assumed that Colin and Jay both watched this together from beginning to end.
Not from beginning to end. I didn't. Jay started watching it during the day while I wasn't paying attention or home or something.
Mm-hmm.
I probably joined you.
You came in when it got good though. So into season, not that it wasn't good at the beginning, but when the story really picked up. Was it into season 2 or 3?
When was Ventress was betrayed?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's season 3.
Yeah.
So I came in as season 3 because I remember making an omelet or something and eating it. So now when I make eggs, I have to hide from the children and hiding because they just want to eat my food. And I'm go away. I want my food. And I remember watching it and you're this is a really good episode. And you're trying to catch me up. And I was
because you loved Rebels.
Eating the omelet. I love Rebels.
And
so I am going to go. I am in the middle of season 1 right now. And I'm going to catch up to where I came in again.
But I think I was you need to watch this. This is one of the things I love about Filoni Star Wars was the Mortis storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that part. Anyway, so yes,
and I was curious too if Colleen had watched Rebels or not. I knew Jay had watched Rebels, and I knew that you had enjoyed it a lot. And personally, Rebels is just it's still my favorite over Clone Wars. It's what's that?
Yeah, why?
I love the family unit, and it's a show that I bonded with my son in Star Wars with. So that,
in a way, it's kind of what Firefly should have been. I mean, it's not like Firefly, but in a way, it has that same.
If there's
unit.
Firefly was Han Solo or whatever, and Falcon and. No, I agree. To me, there's parts of Rebels that I absolutely loved because I feel it Filoni's creative partners on Rebels, I think, expanded his storytelling kind of abilities that I think he came back and made Clone Wars even better as season. So it's kind of one influences the other, and it's hard to say one without the other. Just so much as what makes these final episodes over so impactful, the whole entire Ahsoka Anakin thing so impactful in season 7 is the Ahsoka Vader stuff in Rebels. It all line that it's hard for me to say one is better than the other. I think it's just it's kind of one cohesive kind of story that I think is a fantastic story.
Yeah. I actually asked Jay because I know I'm very loud. I can hear myself.
What in your monitoring does.
I don't have the earpiece in, but no. I asked so if I went back and rewatched Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, would it make them better? And he was like, just don't.
But we watched them when they dropped on Disney Plus, so it's not that long since we watched those movies.
No. You watched them. I kind of half paid attention. The last time I sat down and rewatched them all was 2016. When did 2015? When did Last Jedi?
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. It was 2015. Yeah.
So 15. That's the last. 2015 is the last time I sat down and watched and paid attention to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I watched Revenge of the Sith just the other day on Revenge of the Fifth, and
nice.
And it definitely was one of those moments where what I love about Clone Wars is I love Anakin and Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. And when I go to the Clone Wars movies now, Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, I'm like, but that's not my Anakin now.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's so like, again, I don't want to hate on Hayden Christensen. He's been hate on enough. Yeah. But it's just so stiff in comparison to the Clone Wars Anakin, which has like personality and
absolutely
funny and charming, but they also show his dark side like that. They actually effectively show how Anakin is basically has a dual personality, and and it was taken advantage of, and it was flipped, especially like that scene where he got so jealous about Padme being with what's his name. Killed that guy. And like they just did it so much more effectively of showing both sides of Anakin, that the movie is just like, well, Master, why don't you trust me?
Yeah. I mean, like, because I personally think Attack of the Clones is the worst movie, of Star Wars. And I think
go back and rewatch it and let you know.
Why don't you go back? Yeah. Well, it's just because it's so weird and the plot just kind of goes all over the place. And
I will say, and I don't know if it was Ralph that was saying, maybe we did it on Owen and Beru's, but I do like his point about Attack of the Clones where once it gets to the arena, like the relationship between Padme and Anakin's kind of fun. It's the whole like on Naboo stuff that's really boring.
Oh, yeah.
But, like them in action and that kind of stuff, there is a bit of more chemistry there than in the...
Mm-hmm. I agree, yeah. Like I like the Camino stuff and the end there in the arena, but the rest of it, you're just kind of like... just a lot of the cringe-worthy lines, and you're like...
the dominatrix outfit.
Exactly,
Yeah, with the choker. Yeah.
Obi-Wan would be very grumpy if he saw me do this. Like just like I'm gonna have a Jay. I don't blame Hayden Christensen because I think as a young actor, and then taking on a role that he probably knew going in was going to be the pressure to do it, and then of course being almost handcuffed by Lucas of saying no, it has to be this way. You have to do it this way. It's like it wasn't the freedom that Mark Hamill had to kind of like, oh well, maybe I want to say. Toshi Station is really whiny right now. He chose to do that, not Lucas. And Lucas though was like, no, I want Anakin to be this way.
Yeah.
So I don't blame Hayden. But yeah, I think by the time I would have got to Revenge of the Sith, I definitely would have probably stood my ground a little bit more as an actor and been like, hey, he needs to be this way now. But who knows? I mean, he's 20. I mean, he's 24 when he did Revenge of the Sith, so I mean, still, like, how confident are you at 24?
24, I didn't know anything. Like, I made really poor decisions.
You proposed to me at 20. No, you started dating me at 23. That
was the joke.
I mean, aside from George Harrison, who by the time,
he was 26 when the Beatles broke up.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like,
it's not fair because the Beatles are this outlier. Like that, when I truly learned like what genius is like when I think about people that at like 18 or whatever had all that crap figured out. Because I feel like as I get older, I was like, oh, that makes sense now. But I think about myself as like an 8. I was like, I had no effing clue what this stuff was. But like Paul McCartney's writing like stuff that I still only kind of understand now at 35 or whatever. I'm sure at like 50 another thing will click like, oh, I get it now. It's like he knew that at 20. That's not fair.
I know. Like Brian Wilson wrote Pet Sounds at 24.
Yeah.
So you're like,
right.
What the heck? Yeah.
Exactly. So that like when I truly understood genius, I was like, that's genius. I get it now.
Yeah.
So let's jump into these 2 episodes, right? So first up is Shattered, and I know that Nick has a slew of notes
Go off, Nick.
No, it isn't like a nitpick thing. Like just for Jay and Colleen, this isn't a Game of Thrones type of thing where Matt and I both
you're wrong.
We just like to discuss the episode, what we liked, what we didn't like, things like that.
Yeah, the things that stood out, and I think Nick and I were starting to talk about this on the Ramblecast the other night, and we were kind of derailing into more Owen and Beru's talk. But the opening song to this episode was so good. I thought it reminded me of that scene where Anakin is in the Jedi Council chambers and he's thinking about Padme. And if you think about timeline,
they called Ruminations on the
one of my favorite songs from that soundtrack.
Yeah,
it's just so different and so
It's like
It reminded me of that, or a variation of that. And if we think about timeline wise, like that's what's happening right now. Basically, is he is going through that moment while this is what's transpiring on Mandalore, basically. So,
I think we watched a couple like videos or whatever, people like trying to break down the timeline and how it syncs up with everything. And
okay,
because I'm trying to remember exactly where, but I'll let you lead and maybe where.
That was my main point. Just to say it before Nick could. I kid. Usually we don't have an audience to bounce off of, so it's just us talking.
Just geeking out about Star Wars. Like, did you see this? Oh,
although Nick, you
remember when Ahsoka?
Oh yeah, she got not one but two lightsabers. It was cool.
Now, Nick, you did send me an image, though, just in our messenger group, highlighting this container with the Maul in. Like, Maul is basically being brought out, right?
Yeah, we can jump to that if you want.
I was going in no particular order.
Yeah, that's fine. No, we usually don't. But yeah, I just thought that was neat because when you get to that point where they're leaving Mandalore, the battle's been won, and you see this almost Silence of the Lambs Hannibal Lecter contraption come out, with his mouth muzzled, and you see these yellow eyes just darting everywhere. If like you don't know what's happening because you're not sure if he can read the Force at this moment or not. Like, is it really like containing him all within this or not? But what caught my eye, which I don't know if you guys saw that image or not, was if you look at the bottom of it, there's actually an effigy or whatever you can call it, like an engraving into this. What do you want to call it? Because it's not a carbonate chamber, it's kind of like a precursor to
a Jedi restraining unit.
Yeah, but
I like that.
There is a Jedi, or you assume is a Jedi, but it's a robed figure. You don't really see, but you can make out kind of like a mask there.
Yeah, and
you see two Mandalorians, and one of them is holding Darksaber.
Yeah,
and so but Bo-Katan says it's an ancient relic, and so. The only
one left, I think, is what. Yeah,
the only one left. Yeah, and so my only thought was it has to be Dark Revan or Revan, however you want to say it. But
okay, Dark Revan, or Darth Revan, Darth Revan. Yeah,
and who was a Jedi, but became a Sith, and so you're like, oh, that could be it, because it makes sense with Darksaber being there in the image and so many other things. And I know he's not canon yet. He did have a statue in Rise of Skywalker, but other than that, he's never been now with the Disney era been officially made canon. So I'm hoping that when we get a Old Republic movie, he might be the focus because it is a great story.
The rumor is the Taika Waititi one might be the Old Republic one, which would be dope.
I don't care what he does. I was just so excited. Like that news when that broke on May the 4th, I was just like, this is the best. Like, I mean, his episode from The Mandalorian, The Reckoning, is so good. And then my son and I, we love Thor Ragnarok. And
yes, great movie.
It's one of the best.
So when I'm trying to tell my son like who certain directors are, I'm like, okay, we don't know anything about this movie yet, but this is who's directing it, and so I tell him Thor Ragnarok, and he's like, yes, all right, like we're both excited. So
Awesome.
Yeah, and Jojo Rabbit, which is also another great, incredible movie.
I want to watch it, but Colleen's like, let's watch.
Oh man, it's so good. Jojo Rabbit is so good.
It's been on for 10 years.
Let's watch Castle.
I miss Castle. I miss Bones too. Actually, let's be honest. I love it.
No.
I don't watch any TV anymore.
Let's watch something with The Rock.
Okay. Yes.
It's Dwayne Johnson now. Thank you.
Oh, you're right.
It is Dwayne Johnson. And I do believe that instead of Jojo Rabbit that night, we started to watch
some garbage.
Gibbs and Hobbs, Calvin and Hobbs. What is it?
Right.
Shabs and
then we got into a fight and ended up not watching anything.
I think I got in a fight because I was so ticked off.
He was so pissed, and I was like, "What's the matter? Why do you have an attitude?" And he was like, "Of course you would think I would have an attitude. You know why I'm mad." And I was like, "No, I don't know why you're mad." He's like, "You're an asshole. I'm going downstairs." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh, I didn't think you guys fought.
Because I gave her 4 Lethal Weapon films. At least I feel like I deserve a Jojo Rabbit.
Wait, she wanted to watch Lethal Weapon?
I'd never seen it before.
So she loves like stupid blow up movies. I was like, "You've seen blow up?" I was like, "No." I was like, "Those are the best."
And they're making a fifth.
That's the Citizen Kane of stupid blow stuff up movies.
Oh, I'm excited.
They're going to make a fifth.
I'm going to watch it.
And by the way, Mel Gibson, I felt, trademarked the man running crazily down the street before Tom Cruise ever.
Absolutely.
Could touch that stuff.
That's like 30% of all Lethal Weapon films.
Yeah.
Just keep them running. Just keep them running.
It's a sports car going down the highway. Doesn't matter. Mel Gibson's going to catch up.
That is determination. Raw.
All right. Anyways, moving on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, totally derailed. Timeline.
No, Nick's going through his list.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a list. I basically write out the way the episode goes, and then like what I like about each thing.
He's got bullet points.
Cool little Easter egg or what have you is the fact that we see Sabine's mom in this scene as well, as they're presenting Maul. She is standing next to Bo-Katan there. She's obviously a younger. I can't remember her name. Something Ren, right?
Yes.
So,
and we'd seen her once before in hologram.
We've seen her in a hologram form in the first episode of this arc. By the way, Nick knows this about me. I just want a movie version of this. Like, just I love all the parts. It's cool, but just Disney Plus, just give me the option to watch it as a movie.
Well, you can kind of I don't know. I feel like if you just watch them back to back to back, it kind of feels like that. I kind of like the breaking up of the
movements.
I think it's kind of cool. I like it feeling like it's parts, but you can just sit down and watch it as one whole. I feel like if you got the title cards, it loses a little bit. I don't know.
It's the same reason why I'd love to just see a Mandalorian, just kind of flow through, just sit down and give me a 3-hour Mandalorian.
I would for Mandalorian just because the middle episodes are kind of meandering a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, this one is just I don't know. Just I like how it's separated by the parts and the way the music's different. I don't know. There's just something. I think something kind of cool about it. Even if it was a movie, I'd like kind of and then he goes to the title and part 2, part 3, whatever. I kind of.
It's like a play to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It had a neat vibe. The whole the whole titles and everything for the last 4 parts just had a really cool feel to it. And each, because I started rewatching it. I wanted to rewatch them all before tonight. I didn't get there, but to me, it's just each one also has its own feel, and it is really and how the first part opens up, it just was felt so awesome, so perfect Star Wars, and
yes,
and again, it captured to what you were talking about, that the Obi-Wan Anakin relationship is just so freaking cool in Clone Wars, and anyway, so to me, to that point. I don't, even if it was in movie form, I think I'd still want it kind of segmented, kind of.
Okay. And you can go to the bathroom, get a snack. Yeah. Okay. So
that's you're wrong, but okay.
Yeah. Let's let it go. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not. I want the option. I'm not saying that it's better that way. I just want to see what that would be like. Just one. So okay, Nick.
I'm sure someone will split. All right. I'm just going to start.
We're never going to get through your notes.
I know. We never will. But all right, I'll just start with like the first line that I liked, because at the very beginning, Mandalore won, Ahsoka, has captured Maul, and you hear Ahsoka say, I've learned a lot from the best, because Bo-Katan's commenting on like, wow, you did it, and
yeah,
and she goes, I learned from the best, including you, which is a really nice compliment to someone who was her enemy, when she was with Death Watch. But I like the line, that Bo-Katan says, is like, I wish I was as good as something other than war, because my theory has been, I don't think I've ever actually vocalized it though, is that the armorer and the Mandalorian is Bo-Katan.
I think we did talk about that at some point.
Did we talk about it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we talked about it on the show, or it seems like something we would have, but yes, I love that theory. So.
Yeah. Cause it makes sense too. Just like, it's a little bit of like, well, maybe she did, maybe she went and learned how to actually make stuff, and be good at something. And you see, and she's older, by the Mandalorian, and it just makes sense that I would like that if that's what happened.
I agree, because I was thinking too, after this whole Siege of Mandalore, and just thinking about the timeline for the planets and the Purge. Like, I was like, did she survive? Like, I feel like she should, because we didn't see her die. I'd like to see her show up, and I do think that would be pretty neat if it was the armorer. Right,
and that's what leads me to the next point. Like, even though you see this scene, like we've already talked a little bit about the music throughout these two episodes is very eerie. The entire time there's a lot of tension with the synthesizers and things. And even though Mandalore has won, it's now they've got their planet back. You think this would be a joyous occasion, but at no point do we see this. It's very somber.
Yeah,
and
we know what happens. We know what happens through Rebels.
Exactly.
We don't know the exact purge of Mandalore, but that's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah. The Night of 1,000 Tears is right on the horizon. We know this is coming, and that's what I'm saying. And so, like what you're saying, Jay, is like we like to see her survive, and this could be that character that does survive this. The next thing that I liked, is the overlap scenes with Revenge of the Sith here with the Council, and
yes.
What's tragic to me about this is that if Ahsoka would have entered just a few minutes before she does, Anakin would have been there, And I mean,
exactly what Jay said when we were watching it.
Go ahead,
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I want you guys to interrupt, but what's brilliant about this whole scene is just the way that Filoni interweaved it, because we know it's nothing we want is going to happen, but it's the potential that it could have happened,
Yeah.
We were like, oh God, she's like Kate on Lost, just not.
It's not like Kate just did that for no good reason. Like, but that's why I think the beauty of Ahsoka's storyline and the Jedi Council basically screwing her over and her kind of distressing it. And then, while you can argue that kind of storyline that she had before the final episodes was kind of like, but it kind of it gave even more context to why
she was so badass in the end, though.
Well, no, I'm saying like he's seeing it below, like the lower levels of Coruscant, how low they think of the Jedi, and especially since Ahsoka's life force was brought back by, the daughter. So it was like the purest, light side of the force. Like, to me, Ahsoka is what the Jedi should aspire to be, like her approach to things. And I think she is very like disenfranchised of the Jedi Order.
Yeah. And that's actually a point I wrote down for the next episode is the scene where she decides, I'm not going to be the executioner of these clones. I mean, that is what a Jedi should be. It's like they're peacekeepers, but I'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But what's also about this is that if she would have shown up, what would she have said to Anakin? Would she have told him about Maul? Like, what would she say? Just be mindful. Which, even though that's what Sidious says to Maul, but like it's like what would have happened?
Yeah.
And then of course Mace Windu is a jerk. Because that's just what it is.
That's not
the thing. Like, I feel like I put it more on Mace Windu for being a jerk, for her not saying anything.
Yeah.
Well, F you too.
You're just a citizen.
Yeah.
Because like she just did them a solid. It's like, I just captured somebody that you guys couldn't do in 4 years. Like, what the heck?
Ahsoka does everything right. Like, okay, so Obi-Wan goes off to battle Grievous. Eventually he goes off to battle Anakin. So even if we just say like Obi-Wan battles Anakin and fails, Yoda battles Sidious and fails.
Mm-hmm.
Ahsoka battles Maul and captures him. She succeeds. And then even when I was rewatching Revenge of the Sith, I mean, they're just cutting down clones, Yoda and Obi-Wan, just to get to the temple, which I get it. Like, you know, nothing against them. But Ahsoka's stance on it and how peaceful she is. I mean, she is walking the path of Luke, basically, or what Luke walks as being a true, you know, like kind of Jedi.
Except for when he chokes those people in Return of the Jedi. Yeah.
Well, but we were supposed to believe that he was teetering on the dark side there.
I know.
So, you know.
And another time he wanted to kill his nephew. But I mean, we've all wanted to kill a nephew before. Right?
Yeah. Not that we really have nephews of killing age, but
I'm sure eventually they're going to be dicks. And
you know, my theory on this though is that Darth Sidious, the clone of Darth Sidious that was working as Plagueis or whatever you want it to be, okay, was entering his mind as he slept, and that is the dark side that Luke sensed in him. It was not actually Ben Skywalker. It was this other entity that was coming in and influencing him while he slept. So
maybe, but
I like that theory.
Yeah, Jay's just like, whatever. You know.
I like that theory.
To me,
that's because Matt and I listen to Mysterious Universe, and I know that we're thinking the same thing.
I get it. I'm still bitter about the whole bringing Sidious back in the third act. It's kind of
okay.
I know, it was kind of lame.
It's frustrating. Because to me, again, what I love about this whole thing in Anakin's it has so much impact because of like Anakin's redemption in the end. Luke's the one that brought him back. You know, Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship was strained, and you could see it was still strained here, but they still love each other. But it's definitely strained. And when Ahsoka and Vader eventually meet, it isn't the same as Luke and Vader. It's like a different type of thing because of Ahsoka and Anakin's strained relationship. So, all of that has so much meaning, and it because eventually he kills Sidious, and then Sidious also is like, but guess what? I'm back.
But see, I've always taken it as that is a clone of him, so it is not.
It is a clone. Yeah.
It is a clone. It is a clone.
So I
got really cool, Sith people they could have brought out or made one up. Just make up another one.
I mean, even if they wanted to go the clone route, though, I feel like it should have been telegraphed in or shown us the fact that it's not the actual same Sidious. It's like, I mean, even in the Dark Empire comic series where they make a clone of Sidious, of the Emperor, that that it's different. That it's like a kind of a twisted version. And I feel like laying the groundwork for that would have at least provided some cement. So.
Yeah, and like maybe show, and that's where it'd been cool if they had Mandalorian earlier, and you're showing they're doing this genetic testing on Yoda, and maybe that was like some hodge. That's why I kind of liked the idea of Snoke being like a hodgepodge, like a botched clone.
Yeah,
that would have been a cooler reveal. Like he is a botched clone of Sidious.
Right.
Boom. There you go. Like that's how he has all this power and stuff like that. That is cooler to me than they kind of were trying to play it off as, is it serious? And there's like, oh, wait, he's a clone. Don't worry, he's a clone. But like they did that in some, book later.
Right, exactly. I mean, anything that they throw in the novel, you're like, okay, but this is after the fact. And I feel like you're trying to, retcon something. So
yeah.
Versus the Revenge of the Sith novel is fantastic. I remember reading it before the movie, and I was so stoked because the book was freaking awesome. Like it had so much more context to everything, and when I went to the movie, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be the best Star Wars ever," because I had that book in my mind, and I was like, "Oh, why did they put that in there?"
It makes you
budget.
If it makes you feel any better, I felt the same way about Ghostbusters 2. Read the novel, then saw the movie. But I'm not going to get all Jack Gladfelter on you. So
I was a little bit underwhelmed and I had 3 beers during Rise of Skywalker, and I still was like, eh.
There was things I loved of Rise of Skywalker, but overall I felt let down.
Yeah, you didn't like the death scene. I didn't like.
I loved Ben Solo's redemption.
Yeah, I didn't like the kissing. I was like, why do we have to?
And then she's like, "I'm Rey Skywalker." I'm like, boo.
Yeah.
I think we're all a little conflicted. But something that we're not conflicted about is how amazing these.
Well, yes, that's like, I gotta bring them back. I gotta bring them back.
It's okay. So,
And then there was an underwater hatch.
Order 66 in this, because it's like there's so much in this episode.
There's so much. I actually did go on YouTube and watch the Execute Order 66 scene from Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. I was just curious to see how it's done. And
you know what, though? But I watch it now, I'm like, yeah, Coyote, you deserve that piece of crap. Oh, you're a jerk in Clone Wars. I'm sorry. Most of the council in Clone Wars, I'm like, F you. Oh, you're cool. F you.
That was the point I think I made last episode about him. He's like literally the worst Jedi. Because if you look at just from this one point of view, like he's the one that sends Yoda to Kashyyyk because it's like, what about the Wookiees? And it's like, what if Anakin, when he's feeling all conflicted, goes and confesses to Yoda what he should have been, instead of going to the jerk Mace Windu, who's like, come on, I got a posse together. We're going to go overthrow this guy. You know, like, what would have happened?
I know. Because why leave the Mace Windu, who is, you know, a studier of the dark arts, so he already has kind of it's not somebody that's going to bring balance to somebody that's teetering on the edge of, you know, I mean, again, that's the whole point. He has to turn into Darth Vader, so I get it. But yeah,
he's basically like leaving somebody's fragile, you know, like ego with like the PE coach.
Yeah,
and you're like, wait, what? What's this guy's name?
Suck it up, kid. You got it. Rub some dirt on it. You'll be fine.
You will earn my respect if you just sit there and be quiet.
I'll take a laugh.
Jay said after I think you might have said in the chat too, but you were like, God, the Jedi were just asshole bureaucrats.
No, because I was like, screw these guys. But you know what, though? It's funny. I love
they suck. I'm going to the dark side too.
I'm not on the dark side. I'm on Ahsoka's side. I'm just like, and that's where I did like Last Jedi, because he's just like, the Jedi got it wrong. They had their own realized that, you know, all this stuff was coming up underneath them.
Well, there's one I put it in like our Own and Brew chat. Like, there's one episode in season 2 of Clone Wars where that's the one I was like, how did they not? It's where basically the Republic's going to take over. I think it's Mandalore, actually. You know, like the Republic just votes. Yeah, it is Mandalore. Like, hey, we're just voting we're going to take over your planet, which they're neutral. And so, you know, Obi-Wan's girlfriend comes to like plead a case, like, no, we're an independent planet. And they're like, oh, we've already voted. We're taking over. It's like, how do you not see in that moment right there that the Republic is corrupt, saying like, we are not noticing your own sovereignty? It was like, that to me was like, right there is your case.
Yeah.
Well, you even said it when I was rewatching season 1, when Palpatine sends Padme.
Oh yeah, Padme like
and see they're like, like go over here, and nobody picks up like, hey, maybe the Emperor doesn't know what he's talking about, or the Supreme Chancellor, or whatever he's called. Yeah.
I know the most corrupt thing that I could do is execute Order Commercial 66 right here.
It will be done.
Okay, well, on that note, everybody, we're going to go to a quick commercial break.
Oh, who says you can call the commercial?
I did it on Survivor last night, so I thought I would test my luck again today.
We're never going to get invited again.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, say it.
All right, no. That's where it is. So already been marked. So moving on. Order 66.
No, it's too late.
No, I'm sorry.
We got a spot for you on the Jedi Council.
I was going to say I belong on the Jedi Council.
I'll lead you into that.
Nick has something.
Okay, so I'm skipping over a little bit. I'm going to get to Order 66 stuff, but there's a scene just prior to that which I really like too, which is between Ahsoka and Rex on the bridge.
I'm so glad that you're bringing this up, because this is the one happy moment.
Yeah.
This is when you think things are happy. The only thing, like you mentioned, is the music that is telling us, no, this is not right.
Yeah.
You know, but they do have this moment of like, hey, we did it. We're good, right?
Well, it's not just that. It's kind of like what we're talking about right now, like how the Jedi are bad generals, you know, because they shouldn't be. They're peacekeepers. And like Ahsoka says that, like, all I've ever known is war. You know, and this echoes again in the next episode at the very end, which I like in a way, a subtle way, is that, you know, all I've never known is war. We were raised to be peacekeepers, but I've never known peace, you know, and then Rex kind of was like, well, without it, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. You know, and so it's interesting because Matt mostly has said this, Jay and Colleen, that, you know, the whole first 8 episodes are really meant to show Rex's point of view and Ahsoka's point of view, and then these last 4 are, tying those two kind of different points of view together, because it's always been about Ahsoka and the clones this entire series.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I said this to Jay before.
But I mean, that's the beauty of the series, is it kind of gave so much character and backstory to these clones, like where you care about every single one. And even they'll bring up one that you didn't even see before, and he dies in that episode. But by the end of that episode, if he dies, you like care about, like you feel it, like you feel it. Yeah.
And I
go ahead.
And I personally thought it was just very poignant, the scene that we got directly before Execute Order 66 between Rex and Ahsoka, and I found that to be just very profound, and I it got the heartsorstrings. I almost cried like Jay watching an episode of Parks and Rec. Almost.
Go ahead.
I just was going to say, I mean, there's another moment that we'll talk about when we get to that episode, but basically Ahsoka and Rex have the best platonic relationship out of anyone in the Star Wars universe.
Yep.
Hands down. It's like the best relationship ever. So,
like, I went and watched after that episode them like seeing each other. We don't know how long it's been. Maybe they've seen each other relatively recently, but in Rebels, like where they see each other face to face, and I think Ahsoka gives him a hug. I'm just like,
yes.
Well, he's kind of fat and old and gray, so it's probably been a while.
I don't know how. We don't know. There's
if they had seen each other like timeline-wise. Yeah, it's just like
she knew he was there.
Been through everything. They have been through some shit together. Literally, galaxy-changing shit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
My kids and I, we watched those 2 episodes as well, Jay. And one interesting aspect, though, that kind of runs counter to the episode that we're talking about, Shattered, is that in the Rebels episode, Rex mentions that he took his chip out. Like, he doesn't say Ahsoka took it out.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever. It's fine. Like, I'm not.
It's a bit of a retcon. It was way cooler how they did it.
But even they even retcon the Ahsoka book, though, too, for this episode, or these last episodes. So, but I mean, it could be just him protecting her too, from a certain point of view. Like, well,
and I mean, at that, I mean, it's fine. I don't
know how Gregor got, because Gregor, last time we saw him, he was dead, right? We assumed he got killed when he kind of sacrificed himself for the droids and the little frog guy, right? That's right. Gregor, right?
Gregor, was he in that?
Gregor was like the crazy clone on Rebels.
Yes.
Oh. That was the one that had amnesia and then came back to help R2 and KT. Can't remember her numbers, but anyway. And then it was Wolf. So we don't know how Wolf or Gregor got their chips removed. We assumed Rex did it afterwards.
But yeah, that's what I thought. It's just like, hey, before we do anything, I got to do this. He just like took a drill. Just like straight up
from behind with chloroform. Just go.
I'll be safe.
All
right. Okay, so back to so the last line is from Ahsoka saying like, you are good soldiers for the most part, but also have a great friend. So you're like, oh, and then of course, then Rex gets the word that like, hey, we've received some news from Coruscant, and Ahsoka chooses not to go because she's like, I'm sure it's just good news. And this is where we see he's receiving the Order 66 from Palpatine. Good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
And I liked this because it's interesting. I found this really interesting because Ahsoka enters the room. And you see the helmet shaking.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And like it's like he's fighting it. Like he
has like a tear, and he's like holding guns.
Yeah.
And then he gets the
he gets out C5s.
C5's file or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
fives.
Because I didn't understand that at all the first time I watched it. Going like, what's he yelling at fives? What's? And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Yeah.
We had just watched the arc, so that's why I remembered it.
So thank you. Okay. Because I was going to skip 6 and just go right into 7.
I know you had talked about that. I was like, no, you cannot miss the beginning of 6 because even on its own, like those episodes, that story arc was so cool. I remember watching this and just being like, what? This is amazing. Like, just to see a clone like get it triggered.
All of 6 was really good, honestly.
Yeah.
But
I actually liked the mini arcs. Like I liked, just
I mean,
one,
what's
rather.
kind of neat about the series is how they do these arcs. But yeah, that one was, and also was done by George Lucas. It was directed by George Lucas's daughter, I believe.
Katie Lucas.
Katie wrote a lot of the Venture storylines and directed a few as well. Yeah.
And the Maul stuff.
And the Maul stuff, yeah. All the Night Sisters, Maul stuff, yeah. Like Katie Lucas wrote a lot of that.
Oh, let's talk about Maul. So I figured he would escape during, Order 66, but I did not predict that Ahsoka would be the one to free him.
It's kind of her only play. It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah, that's actually the next thing in what happens actually. But I like that you would naturally assume, because at that point he's her only potential ally, that she would team up with him, but she doesn't. She's just kind of like. And I also wanted to point out, like, while all the clones are surrounding Ahsoka, we're seeing that what you were talking about earlier, Jay, like. Ahsoka, and same as with Matt, saying like she's very Luke in this moment. She even holds to it in this early scene without saying it, and that she doesn't kill one trooper.
Yeah.
She reflects every bolt to the ceiling.
Yes.
Yep. And I was like, that's really cool. You know?
I love that scene. That whole scene is just so good. Her standing on that table and just deflecting all the bolts like that is just like magnificent.
Yeah. So, do we think, just to go back real quick to the Rex thing, that the genuine human connection, clone connection, emotion, whatever that he formed with Ahsoka is the reason he was able to fight it?
Yeah.
Or
I think so.
Was it more because it clicked with him? He had the intel from fives.
Probably a little both there, I would think. There's just the fact that he cares so much about her, and yet he knows he has to kill her in that moment, and he probably was like, wait, this is what this is.
Yep.
So, exactly. Before all the programming finally took over, it was just like that half a second he had.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you see it shaking. It's like and then the helmet drops like a 100-pound bowling ball on the ground. And then it's just like, and then after that he's just yelling at her with guns drawn, because he can't. It's no longer in his control.
Yeah.
And we can say, to me, it's like, okay, it's easy. I mean, it was already easy before that Rex is the best clone trooper. But, maybe you could say Cody. But I'm just like, Cody, he was, ready to kill Obi-Wan just like that.
Oh, heck yeah.
I know I just gave you your lightsaber, but shooting you down.
I will say that was one thing that I loved about the first episode in the story arc of the last, is that there's that missile that's about ready to kill Cody.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And who saves him? It's Obi-Wan. And it's just one of the coolest moments to see those two and how they saved each other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Cody turns on him on a dime. Whatever. So I don't have any feelings for you. So I know we were about ready to get to Maul, the scene where she basically releases Maul, and as Jay pointed out, there's no love lost there. It is just her holding that lightsaber to him and basically being I can't even remember what she says to him. She says something.
Are you behind this? Are you responsible for it?
Yeah.
And I like
choose your words carefully.
Exactly. But I like, because he didn't know. He knew roughly what Sidious was going to do, but he didn't know the details. And I like that her admission of I was just there, and all of a sudden they turned on me. He's almost giddy with a childlike moment of it's brilliant. What he did. And you kind of, I understand from Maul's point of view, why he would think that, but then it's I would also choose your words carefully too. It's she could have just, killed him right there.
But I do, again, it's something I think the series did really well that the movie didn't quite at least convey to me. It's just man, why are they just getting killed that easily by these clone troopers? But it's showing that they had so much trust in each other.
Yes.
And had been through so much together.
Yeah.
It never crossed their mind.
And Nick, I mean, this was something that you had brought up in the previous podcast. We talked about this series. Is he was just I wonder how much Maul knows about this. Surely, Sidious wouldn't have. So I liked that this scene actually explained a question that you had. That you were being, very nitpicky. Nick,
I was being I was being myself. Yeah, of
but it
how does he know all this stuff? It's been years since he knew Sidious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it explains it in a great way. And that moment where Maul's just basically so you're going to give me a lightsaber or something?
Right. I don't need him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
nope. Not today.
And leads to now I don't think we see Maul in the hallway scene yet.
Not yet.
We see her.
We have a quick scene, yeah. We
Okay.
have a quick scene with just Ahsoka going in to turn on the astromech droids to help her, and this is where she sees the hologram of Fives, the case, and then Rex's actually blocked file for her, but she uses Anakin's code, and this is where she learns about the chips.
I love that too. Anakin's code. I thought that was fun.
Yeah. And then here we lead to our very first Rogue One moment, which is what Matt was just saying, which is the hallway scene, which is probably better than the Rogue One scene, in my opinion.
I don't guess he had no lightsaber. He was just
yeah. Well, this is the kind of Star Wars I love.
He brought down a damn ship just with his mind.
Yes. Yeah.
This is the kind of story I like, though, because this is what I always want out of Star Wars. Like when I think back at the original Star Wars movie and Empire, I want that little bit of darkness always in there. And so it's like, he freaking decapitates them with a sheet of metal. You don't see it. You just see the helmets fall. I was like, that's all I want. I just want
Yeah.
But then putting the arm back in and cutting it off.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And he did it on purpose because he wanted the calm.
Yeah.
Like, there was a reason behind it. It wasn't just to be malicious. And which, this kind of ties into The Mandalorian. It's like one of the first things we see in The Mandalorian is the decapitation of a body in between these doors closing, which, we always kind of, makes you worry about going to the grocery
loves
store.
to decapitate people.
Yeah.
But I like that. I even like, when he throws the other sheet of metal, and just basically pins it against the wall. I'm like, that's so awesome. Yes, that's what I want. That's my Star Wars.
Do you like the fan wish that there's like a horror movie where rebels or something trying to attack Vader on Mustafar, and it's just like a horror film where
I would gladly watch it. Yeah.
And then it's like, it's all black. It's in his castle, and they just keep getting murdered by Vader.
I'd watch anything. They did the Zombie Trooper book, a few years back. I'd watch something like that. I mean, they made a book called Lords of the Sith, like in 2016 or 15, and that one's the Emperor and Vader being betrayed by Empire troops, trying to kill them on this planet. I'd watch that. I mean, just watching a Sith in full just anger, rage, killing people. I mean, I don't want it to be all dark, but I want to see the Force unleashed.
So you love the end of Rogue One.
Yeah, I've been that way since I was a kid, and that I don't always like a happy ending. I want
murder animals.
This is what happens when you scare your children with masks in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know. I think I told this on Ramblecast or Married Man. In 5th grade or 4th grade, I wrote a story called "The Night Rudolph Died." And I had to read it. I had to read it in front of the entire class, and of course, Rudolph dies. And then I remember the teacher going, "Like, is that it?" I was like, "Yeah, that's it." I was like, "It's in the title." But for a 9-year-old, to write this story where Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer dies, you're just like, what? Not everything is happy. Sorry, everyone out there. That's just me.
That's funny.
That's not surprising. I think I've heard this story before. It's still funny.
My mom has that story framed and puts it up on the mantle every Christmas so everyone can read it. A little demonic story I wrote when I was 9. Okay, so next quick scene I also thought was a nice little scene was Ahsoka tricking Rex, about using the droids to close off all the doors, and and then you see the hologram. And of course, he's still programmed. Pulls the guns out of the droids. Where is she? And then she's like, "I'm right here." I just like the really trickery. Cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, electrocuting him to knock him out.
And then also using the droids as a way to carry his body.
I know. I love the droids, and how they got murdered was awful.
Oh, that was awful.
I love that scene. I thought it was hilarious.
No, if you watch it in closed captioning, it says droids scream. And that was, I was like, oh, this is so awful.
But at the last shot of the last episode, they had the parts of the cool multicolored ones. So maybe they're going to bring it back to life.
Oh, okay.
It was underneath the Y-wing or whatever.
Oh.
I didn't catch that.
Parts of Rex was walking back, and you saw all the pieces to that
R7.
R7, yeah.
Okay.
R7 was her R2 unit, basically.
Well, I also thought it was interesting is that one of the other are, was almost exactly looking like Chopper.
So Cheap,
like the
Cheap is also voiced by Filoni because you can hear Chopper. It sounds like Chopper, and it's Filoni. He gets a little voice credit on there. So
nice.
Yeah,
because he did voice Chopper on the show.
Yes, he did. Yeah. So I liked that we got a little bit of Chopper. Who are you looking at? Jay?
I'm just doing it to be.
Okay. But I love that we also do get that. We do get that droid with the arms, That's very much like the early model of R2D2. So
right.
This all leads to
the med bay.
The med bay,
where we have our second Rogue One moment, where they cannot find a chip in Rex's head, and so Ahsoka puts her hands on his head and proceeds to say, I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
Yeah,
I love that actually.
Yeah.
Which was not because he even starts to mouth it, and you it'll be something that'll be theorized. Like, was it the Force, or was it that the Force was within his brain at that point, or what that made it pop up?
I also like to think of that mantra because it was used by somebody who is not a Jedi but a Force acolyte, essentially. Mm-hmm. The idea that mantra is something that could be used by non-Force wielders to kind of like summon the Force or something like that. So. So anyway, yes, this all leads to a moment where you think, does he have the chip in? The troopers are coming through the door, right? And of course he's gotten the chip out, saves Ahsoka. They get the door closed again, only for it to end with them coming through one more time.
Yeah.
So
and it's in all of us. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That line is also mentioned too. It's in all of us. Yeah. Like I love how just how much that implies.
We also forgot another good point before Order 66. That while Rex is getting the message, Ahsoka actually feels Anakin's turn to the dark side, and we hear actual dialogue from the movie instead of the voice actors.
That's true.
Well, it was the voice actor of Anakin too. I think was the last one. I think it was the "What Have I Done?" I think was him.
Right, he was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They both.
The rest was Hayden Christensen.
Matt
that was a neat change there.
No, it was neat. Right. But that concludes the first episode. 52 minutes in.
All right, this show's done now, so we can just kind of wrap it up. Great show, kids. It was 1 in a million.
Well, Jay, we had originally thought like, we'll just do all 4 because the other ones who were so quick, you could talk about them really quick. We're like, we'll just do all the last 4 all in one episode. And we're like, no.
After we saw that first one, we were like, we have to talk. We absolutely have to talk about this. It's so dense. The final episode, Victory and Death. Again, the opening music, so amazing, so freaking good. Love how this just opens up, and we jump right back into this moment of we see it actually from the other side of them cutting through the doors from the outside, because I don't know why I thought Maul would be there, but it's great.
I'll be there for you.
It's great though that we this is when we first get to witness that, how like Ahsoka's like, I basically put those things on stun. Like she's going to try to not kill them as they fight their way out of the med bay. So, is
Med Bay?
Med Bay?
Med Bay.
This is a classic, like
Med Bay sounds like
you said. I thought it said Bed Bay, and I thought there was
Bed Bay.
Med Bay sounds like something that you tell somebody when you like, "Hey, Bed Bay, you want to Netflix and chill?"
Nice, I like that. Bed Bay.
That sounds more like an order, like, "Hey, Bed Babe," or I don't know, Bed Bay.
What about a bed bow?
That too.
All right. So. I love that we get this classic clone and Jedi like team up, basically one last time, where you see her when you see her deflecting, he's shooting. It's
Yep.
just like, this is what they were good at.
Yep.
Is the Jedi protecting the clones as they fought.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is also what allowed them to be so vulnerable, because they were always leading, protecting them with the clones behind.
Yeah.
So they fight their way out essentially and lead themselves to what is it? The hangar bay is where they fight their way to the hangar bay.
And
Meanwhile,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, meanwhile, you have the mall scene that Jay already talked about with him bringing down. Oh my gosh, that part was so good. He fights his way. That moment where he takes the trooper's helmet, uses it to deflect it, and then shoots it back. Oh, so good. So good. And I love how this is a callback also to the Phantom Menace, like the way that it has the gate, the like the planks or the galley, what do you call it? The path. I don't know. Screw it.
Well,
the sky bridges. Thank you.
Right.
Like a better word. I don't know what to call them.
I actually thought a lot of it, even up to before he even enters the room, is a lot. You're right. The sky bridges are episode, but it's also a lot of Empire foreshadowing too. Because if you look at that, you look at the hall scenes where like he's just kind of like creepily walking, like trying to not be detected by troopers, and the troopers are running very hastily, like the way they did A New Hope on the Death Star.
Yes.
And then you look when he gets into that room, and you look at all the background. You look at the grays and the whites, the white little lights and the little ovals that are coming down, and the reds. It's very Death Star looking, because I mean those not Star Destroyers, but those are what those are based off of. So it's kind of slowly bleeding into what the Empire will be, and I liked a lot of the imagery that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of imagery, I thought it was incredibly. I don't know what the right word is, but to see Ahsoka fighting clones wearing masks with her face painted was chilling.
Yeah, that's a really. I think what makes this arc so masterful is seeing those little things that were planted in the earlier episodes that were powerful, and we were like, "Oh, that's so great!" And then now it's like, "Oh, that's so dark," and how chilling it is, and just the flip of everything. So
yeah.
But what's great about it, and it's something that I think there's so much imagery, and each little detail has so much weight to it, to the story. Because like that, seeing that shows why Ahsoka is trying not to kill any one of these people.
Yes,
she remembers the humanity, like in each one of them.
Which Ahsoka, she doesn't need a mask to tell her that, but as a viewer, it helps get that connection.
Yeah,
even more. Same as the lightsabers being blue, and that's just kind of showing their relationship between Anakin and Ahsoka, and him changing the kyber crystals to be blue because he's being he's overprotective, overbearing, and kind of possessive, which it shows like, oh, that's sweet, but it's also like, oh, you see, Vader's or the dark side to Anakin. Is from that desire to protect people.
What you're saying is a mask can save lives.
A mask could save lives. A mask could save lives. Yeah,
sure.
He says she's not killing. It's not that she's not killing them because
you can either use
her mask
wear it or to actually project
whatever.
it.
It's not a funny joke once you have to explain it. You're just not smart enough.
I'm not.
You're right. You're right, Jay. I mean, Ahsoka sees them as individuals, and it almost echoes season 1. Yoda's first appearance with the battle on Toydeka, where he's like, remove your helmets, because within he's like, our faces are all the same, sir. And he's like, but within the Force, you're all very different, and so that's how Ahsoka sees them too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Watch that episode. Actually, it's a really good episode.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Any Ventress episode, I love it. Doesn't matter what it is. Colleen, Ventress is my favorite character, if you didn't know. So.
Oh, I think I might have known that, but I just put it together.
Yeah, like I don't know why. She just is like of all Star Wars characters, she's my favorite.
Considering you like the darkness in Star Wars, and
dark-sided dominatrix kind of character.
Like,
that's
I like it
with a lightsaber. That's That is your type.
You're not married yet. You haven't found your own Ventress yet. That's what it is.
Exactly.
You find your Ventress.
Yeah. Just need to cut her a pair, send it her way. Okay.
God, that first Yoda episode is pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
but the nice part though is that was amazing, but they didn't overdo it with the Yoda. It's not like Yoda going crazy every. It was just like I don't know. It was a really it set.
Well, yeah, he was showing. He didn't really need his lightsaber that much. He let the clones. I mean, he let the robots. What am I thinking of? The battle droids. He let them destroy themselves a lot of times. He would just jump in the ways where they would just do it. He used his mind to let them destroy themselves.
Which again, I love the Gendy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, but I did love the Honest trailer. It's just like, I guess it was just a lot.
That's the Honest trailer. Yeah. Like with tactics like running straight into them.
For everyone that could not see.
For anyone not on video, yes, Jay is literally flailing his arms around
with imaginary lightsabers, and I am pretending to just shoot constantly because that's the other thing that just happens a lot in that.
All right. Anyway, back.
Okay.
Back to the hangar bay.
Back to the hangar bay, and basically the last set piece of this.
So okay, we have Bed Bay. What's your hangar bay?
Oh, Epstein Bay.
First,
so anyway, first we need to discover that they open up the doors to discover that the moon is right there in front of them because I think they originally just wanted to escape, just to get out of the ship.
And the droids did tell them that basically the
gravitation is pulling them in.
Right. They found out basically that the hyperdrive was offline. Mm-hmm. Also, we forgot to mention that Rex finds out that Ahsoka let Maul go, which he's kind of like shocked by. Because he's noticing that the other clones have seen a lot more action than just what they've been doing. So he's just like, what's going on here?
What?
So, so the moon,
it's pulling them in. So they don't have any options to really escape, but they have to find a ship, which there's only one that they have.
And Rex under Order 66 had already launched all of the escape
pods. Yeah.
I think it's interesting to note that basically all of these clones, this is an interesting aspect of Order 66. They care nothing about their life. It is all about the destruction of the Jedi at this point.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So they will do anything to destroy the Jedi.
But I loved this scene because this is one of those, exactly where at this point, all it goes, Jesse and a whole squad of troopers is there now in the hangar, and they have no choice. It's like, hey, we need to kill them. And at this point, too, like when I see them start running in with the doors already open, I'm like, man, you guys are dead. Because in my mind, I'm already thinking like, they're just going to hit a button and they're all going to be sucked into space, and that's going to be it. Because that would have been what I would have done. Like, okay, but then because at first
I killed Rudolph, so
I killed Rudolph. That's true. But it took me my second viewing to really get the symbolism here of this, because Rex is clearly not going to kill them. Ahsoka says this, I'm not going to kill them. I'm not going to be the one to kill them. But they're trapped now.
That scene between her when she takes off his helmet.
Yeah, he's crying.
Gosh, it's just that to me is just says so much about their relationship, who they are, and like I said, the best platonic relationship amongst any of the characters in Star Wars. Just that moment, and she says to him, "You are a good soldier." It just just knives to the heart, And then, but she also says every single one of them
is a good soldier, right? Exactly.
It just. To me, it's just some of the best writing, some of the best scenery, it's all coming together, and it doesn't have to be this elaborate, convoluted thing with endless amounts of characters that we don't care about.
Yeah.
It's all right there. There's no stupid, silly alien, that's or a goofy thing. The droids were enough to be the comedy relief in this moment. So
what? Me second though.
Even though I think Jar Jar is actually not bad in Clone Wars, I think he's kind of fun in Clone Wars.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, in the Clone Wars episode, Bombad Jedi's not bad.
Bombad Jedi's fun.
Yeah.
And then his whole romantic relationship with what's her name.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're totally boning. It's like, good show. And then like when the next scene is them kissing, I'm like, told ya.
The Gungans lay eggs, and then the male comes along and fertilizes the eggs. I don't know.
Is that true?
I just assume that they're like fish, or frogs.
How dare you, sir? Gungans are a very civilized race of people.
Sure.
They don't lay eggs.
And the next little bit, I actually thought was, because I think Matt and I or one of us had talked about this also, because Ahsoka is not a Jedi, and so I always wondered how this would go down, you know, and because she says, because like they're at this still in the little command center, they're like, well, what do we do? Because we can't make it to the ship without fighting them. And she says, I have an idea. And Rex basically takes her prisoner, you know, and tries to say, you know, make an argument to Jesse, like, hey, she's not a Jedi. So she's you know, not in part of Order 66, you know, but you see, kind of like what Matt was saying, you see the devotion to these troopers of like, no, it's already in their head. Like, I guess just any force wielder to them is like, no, that's it. They're dead. Yeah.
And Darth Sidious's plan, like through and through, like he thought of that. He thought of like, oh, their end goal is to kill any force wielder at that point. So, go ahead.
Well, actually, like, and the next scene this is the one where I was kind of like just a little bit disappointed the first time I watched it with Maul. I really wanted more Maul, because I thought with the whole like, I'm not going to be the one that kills them, you know, with Ahsoka and Rex not want to kill him. I was like, well, Maul's going to come in and be like, I'll kill them, you know, and I thought that's what's going to happen. And I was like, oh, we're going to get just the floor dropping. I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, kind of cool though.
Can I just cool. You saying that though, Nick? I almost imagine him coming in with like taking a swig of like Jack Daniels, like, I'll take care of it.
I'll take care of it. Yeah.
Cue the Duel of Fates music.
Exactly.
Like
look what I found, my lightsaber. Now watch me dance around a little bit. You know, it would have went, you know, take that really serious moment and make it a comedy. It's just,
it's a buddy cop.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly.
Can I just say though, like, because Jesse kind of doesn't go with it, whatever. But I think my favorite, just cool, badass move of this episode. Because I think Maul takes the cake on badass move in the previous one. Actually, this had him bringing down the height. But anyways, I thought it was really cool when like Ahsoka throws down the sabers and then, like spins them around. I was like,
so cool. It was really cool.
That is the only thing on my list. Ahsoka spinning lightsabers. When I saw that, I was mind blown. I was like, that is the coolest. I even said it out loud to my kids. I was like, that's it.
That's cool. I mean, she can do it with hands. She just like,
and how they animated it looked so awesome. I loved that moment. So
also, can we just talk about the animation this season is awesome.
Okay. There's more stuff. So, okay, basically, Maul gets away in a ship, but I like this as well because, like, you see almost like with Rise of Skywalker with, you know, Ben and Rey, you know, force controlling the ship. It's kind of like that as well. But what I liked about this is that instead of being like Anakin or someone else going like, I'm getting this ship no matter what, she knows that Rex is gonna die. You know, and she chooses to let go. It's like, hey, that's it. Okay, we can find some other way.
I love it.
And I mean, it's little things. I mean, there's so much little subtle things throughout this episode.
Even the callback where Rex says, "There's too many of them." We hear that in Revenge of the Sith. You know, so there's just that. I think they say there's too many of them. I can't remember what movie we've seen it in now. I've seen way too much
Star Wars. I mean, they might do it every movie. Somebody said it.
just like scream with a Wilhelm scream.
Wilhelm scream. You've got if you got a bad feeling about this, and then there's too many of them.
Boom, nailed it. So yeah, we get the Flora action. The droids are helping Ahsoka out. Ahsoka almost falls down. We mentioned the spinning lightsaber move. They finally make it to this Y-wing ship. It is like the only ship left, apparently. And
there's a bunch down there, but most of them weren't operational. So
right.
Yeah, you're on the repair deck.
Yep. Yeah. Which is cool because we're still seeing like the logistics of all of this makes sense. I mean, like some animator was just like, no, well, this doesn't make sense. We got to have these down here. So this all leads to basically one of the last moments between action moments between Ahsoka and Rex, which I also loved because it's a callback to the first episode in this story arc with her basically flying down to the planet without a jetpack.
So freaking cool.
Right? Like, to see those, but she's flying through wreckage.
That was what made it amazing, is because just so much wreckage. Like something just like flying kill her. But again, she's a force wielder, so
not one piece of shrapnel hit the Y-wing nor Ahsoka though. I mean, come on, you gotta make it a little bit believable.
I think stuff hit the Y-wing. I mean, it's nothing enough to like blow it up.
It has shields. It has shields, dude.
Yeah, they've put all power to the
whatever.
Rex is a professional. He put all of the shields on the forward.
Yeah.
He's a soldier. I don't remember clones, aside from the pilot clones, I don't remember Rex getting training in how to fly.
He would have had training.
All right.
Come on.
When they took the chip out, he automatically knew how to do it.
Yeah. That chip was interfering with so much.
It's like the Matrix, just plugged it in. It's like, I got it.
Wait, pick me.
This is a Linux system. I know this.
I know I'm probably skipping a couple of
pick
mixed
me, pick me.
No, you're fine.
I just
wait, me.
Oh, what is it?
Go ahead, call.
Oh, I was just going to point out that
I thought you were talking about the Y-wing was saying this. Pick me.
No. The scene with Ahsoka, in the plane going down, kind of was a callback, and maybe it was more than just this. But we only I rewatched this on Sunday. The movie that starts it all, where she is racing Anakin up to the top, and she's like hopping from thing to thing and climbing on the front of the front of the thing, and she's
talking about the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, like, so her being able to like.
Well, she's on. That's a AT.
It's an AT. It's one of the walkers.
Yeah, one of the walkers, but like nothing really. Like, I don't know, just kind of. To me, it was like we saw her do something badass like that in the air, starting it and ending it with something.
Well, that said, you had that in the beginning of this story arc too, with her going through the air and doing all that cool stuff,
racing Rex to the surface, and even that scene where she has to like take the speeder bike on the side of the wall, like in her story arc, you see her running on that wreckage that's flying through through the air. Just really, great, like just how they decided to animate that. Even the ship coming out of hyperspace, like all just smoking and destroyed. Like I just loved how they animated all that. It just looked so good.
Because I'm thinking to myself, I was like, is this ship just going to blow up? Like I'm trying to think of like ships that have like fail out of hyperspace. Can't be great.
And this is again another callback to Revenge of the Sith. The beginning of Revenge of the Sith opens up with Anakin trying to crash land a separatist spaceship on Coruscant. Like this, to me, was like a big callback to that moment. So, just the ship crashing and the imagery of that, and what it all leads to once we do see them landed, and how they decided to frame up that shot. I mean, I'm sure the storyboards on it were like moving all the way up till we see the head of the Ventor class Star Destroyer, and the Y-wing parked the way that it is so eloquently. Basically, from here on out, it's just beautiful. Yeah, every shot, like we see. Oh, go ahead. Did you have some notes?
Well, no, I can break it down. I have my notes if you want.
I mean, from my mind, we see, from a distance there, we see Rex walking back to the Y-wing. He's got a shovel, so clearly he was digging some of those graves. We see Ahsoka sporting a garb that we'll see her wear in future Rebels episodes, which is so cool. It's got a hide. She has to go into hiding essentially, and she's looking at all of these graves that they've basically buried every single clone. Which, I mean, come on, like right. Just the respect and the admiration or the love that she had for. Yeah,
that's what I wrote too. Is that Rex with the shovel. So clearly, they buried them. Rex turns back to see Ahsoka in the distance, gazing at the graves of her legion. It's her troopers. Yep. And the fact that they didn't make a mass grave, but individual graves, says a big deal about this.
Yep.
And she's somberly looking at everything she's ever known in this moment. I mean, when you really think about it, that's what she's doing. All she's ever known is clone troopers, war, and her lightsabers.
Yeah.
And that's what she does. She just chooses to let it all go in this moment. And she drops one. She has two, but she only drops one. So I'm still going to be curious to the day I die where the other one went. But
because she still had it on her, because I watched two. She had it on her when she's flying through the debris. So
I thought that she lost one and that she only had that one left for some reason. But if she did carry one away from that wreckage, the Ahsoka book, which is really great, the Ahsoka novel, it begins with her not having any lightsabers at all. So, and it references the fact that she left. New
ones with Inquisitor blades, right, or something.
Correct. Inquisitor crystals. Yeah. They call it, and throughout the book, she's picking up pieces that will become the lightsabers the new lightsabers that she creates. So it's like you're reading it, and she's like, "Oh, I found this like little thing," and she doesn't think anything of these rings, but she keeps them, And so she kind of scraps it together. So
and they're awesome. I love her. Like,
oh yeah, the white ones,
samurai blade. Even the hilts are like,
Yeah. So whether or not she kept one, we may not know. I mean, there's a couple hanging questions about like what was she going to say to Anakin? Tell Anakin. Never mind. Tell Anakin my locker combination is 39, 59, 26.
1, 2, 3.
Tell Anakin my password to get into the Wi-Fi.
His password.
69.
Anakin, that story about Darth Plagueis just isn't worth it.
Yeah. Tell Anakin. Yeah. So we don't get an answer to that, but go ahead, Nick.
That's it. That's all I have for that scene.
Yeah, well, that scene basically fades from her face into,
and then something awesome happens.
And something awesome happens.
I don't know, because it was kind of a pensive Vader / Anakin. He wasn't killing enough people. There was a blue saber there. I don't know if it was enough murder for you.
Well, it's just the fact that you don't expect to see Empire era in this story. And, exactly what Matt's saying, it pans down. And I assume it's probably a year, probably after this. It's early on, because it's still Slim Vader.
Well, and Red-Eyed Vader too.
It's Red-Eyed
Vader. So up to
So it's we see an Imperial shuttle come down with probe droids, snow troopers all on the ground, and they're no doubt hunting down the Jedi, which is Vader's mission after this whole after the Clone Wars is over. Vader appears and kneels down to the ground where the graves are, finding Ahsoka's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
He ignites it. It's blue. Obviously, he knows what it is, whose it is. And it's kind of interesting to see Vader with a different colored lightsaber. You're like, oh wow, it's
Yeah, aside from when he turns on Luke's in Return of the Jedi, I don't think we really see that.
Right.
Well, he still had a blue. He didn't get his red saber right away, right? Because I thought
he uses his. He doesn't. You're right. He actually, in the comic book series, Vader. He uses a Jedi that's still at the Jedi Temple's lightsaber for a while, and then he makes his own.
Yeah. So I think I was looking up like the Easter eggs or whatever. So they're trying to put the timeline in because on his he had his actual lightsaber on his side, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
Trying to figure out exactly about when this was.
Okay. Well, I mean, I would even put it like 5 years after the events of the Clone Wars, because it's clearly before the events of Rebels, because they have not faced off against each other.
Right.
But we do see one little hint at that.
Yeah. But my last little thing before we get to that.
Okay.
It's like
Shut up, man. Just
well, I was saying, I just wrote it's heartbreaking because you don't know where Vader's at right now in his thinking or where he's at in his head. But you do, but you know where his head is by the next time we see Ahsoka and Vader together in Rebels, like that he's fully dark at this point. Because like I had one person like say that his eyes were still blue, in that scene, and I couldn't quite see it, but I'm like, But you also wonder like if Ahsoka would have still been on that planet, like what would have happened? What he tried? He probably would have tried to recruit her, but it's like, could she have talked to him? Like, what would have happened? Because that's all the family he had left.
Yeah, that's where I do see, Vader or the Vader Anakin. He's still like a split personality, and he definitely has let the Vader kind of consume him. But I think he's still conflicted, and even probably in the Ahsoka Vader thing. There's still probably conflict there. There's conflict through the original trilogy, and eventually he takes the side of his son and kills Sidious. But
I feel like this definitely weighs on that, right? It just kind of adds to that like emotional, like losing Ahsoka and then having like, oh, I have a son, like that aspect that this is my last, connection.
This time. Starting now. Okay, I'm in.
So, go ahead.
No, so you go ahead because you wanted to bring it up, the convoys, I assume.
Yeah, basically, and the callback to Mortis,
Yeah.
So,
well, it's okay. So for everyone out there who might not know, when Vader is with the lights, is there, and he looks up. There's a bird flying around. Now that's a convor, and it was named after Filoni's wife, who that's her last name. It's not convor, but it's like conver something. I don't know.
She's a heir to the Converse fortune.
That's what I was going to say.
Wow, good for her. Now, this is a creature that we first see in Clone Wars Season 3, the episode Padawan Lost, which is 2 or 3 episodes right after the Mortis trilogy. And as Jay had said earlier, so in the Mortis trilogy, you have the father, the son, and the daughter. The son is pure dark side. The daughter is pure...
leans dark side, right?
He leans dark side, and she leans, light side. Right.
And then the father's in the middle.
And the father's in the middle. And spoiler, slightly spoiler, but the daughter dies, and as she's dying, Ahsoka is already dead. And with her last bit of life, she... allows Ahsoka to live.
Force heal.
Gives her life force.
Gives her life force into Ahsoka. Now they also wipe their memories. So Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka don't remember any of this. Conveniently, yes.
In that trilogy, Anakin learns of his fate, and he's
he does. Yes,
brother, I'm with you. I don't want this to happen.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's stop it.
But what's interesting is that because you see this also in Rebels on the painting on the wall is that the convoy is on her shoulder.
Yes,
and you've seen anytime Ahsoka is challenged, any episode that's really Ahsoka focused, you're going to see a convoy somewhere in it. And Filoni likes to leave it up to the fans to decide what it is. He just says it is a force for good. Is it a guardian angel? What is it? Is it just someone that's watching like Stan Lee? You don't know. But it's
I always think of it as that's the daughter that's still kind of overlooking is kind of seeing where the chosen one went because she died, father died. I mean, they all died for Anakin essentially, or because of father's play to get Anakin to take his place to kind of keep the balance.
Yeah.
And even in the father's death, he's like, you're still the chosen one. You can still bring balance to the force or whatever. Just, be mindful of your feelings or whatever he said. So I think that's her kind of still her life force is connected to Ahsoka. Like even how the convoy saves Ahsoka in the realm between realms or whatever.
World between worlds.
World between worlds. Yeah.
So that's how I saw. Like she's just seeing Anakin. Like, all right, You effed up. Father was wrong.
Or maybe it's flying around saying there is still good in him. Because that's always a message they like to bring home, is that there was, you know, and even Padme as she dies. This episode has gone long, but I knew that it would. I have
my dumb interjections that
no, Colleen, I love, you know, all
no,
all the
not
things
at
that
all.
so it was mainly just all of Nick's notes.
No, we derailed it. Apologize.
I kid. No, this has all been really great Star Wars talk. But I do have an email here, and this is a good way to kind of end the end the show, because it has a question for all of us to answer. So, hello, Matt, Nick, Colleen, and Jay. I'll keep this shorter than my last email. The Clone Wars is over. What a wild ride this series has been. I never would have thought back in the day how great and important it would all be. Yeah. I loved both episodes, and the final has gotten better the more I think about it. While both episodes have a lot worth talking about, my 2 points will focus on the final. 1, I loved that when Ahsoka and Rex are on the bridge area over the landing bay, surrounded by clowns below. I think he meant clones, but I like to imagine they're surrounded by clowns.
They did have face paint on.
Yeah, they had face paint. Ahsoka makes a significant decision to not kill anyone. Maybe part of this is regretting letting Maul loose, who has no such regard for life. But I think ultimately, like Luke in Return of the Jedi, she realized they must find another way to be true to the Force and the ideals she holds. She must realize that if they do kill them, the crash likely will. Yet still, she chooses to be nonviolent as possible. The question of when to act and how is a huge part of Star Wars, and I loved seeing it play out here. 2, the final scene in the snow and Vader really continues to hit me harder as time goes. It really drives home all that Anakin has lost, and shows what the Clone Wars brought to the galaxy: destruction, loss, death, broken relationships. That all with Anakin losing his humanity, showing him apart from everyone else, now trapped in a suit and helmet, is just chilling. Yeah. There is no hope in this final shot, minus the Condor floating overhead. Though I don't think anyone who hasn't seen Rebels will know if its significance. Mainly self-reflection. Perhaps a moment of closure for Anakin, as he can believe his Padawan is dead, theoretically. His last potential link to his humanity is gone as far as he knows. There's just a lot to think about in this wordless final scene. All right, I'll keep it to that. I'll end with a question. What was each of your favorite sequence in the last 4 episodes? And that comes from Greg.
It's hard.
I know.
She said.
I'll
give mine to give you time. I'll give you mine to give you time.
I mean, I know, I think what I'm going to say, so you can go ahead, Jay.
Your favorite sequence from the last 4 episodes, or is there a favorite?
I have 2.
Okay, go for it, Nick.
Oh, I'm saying I have the happy moment and I have the badass moment. You know, so my favorite happy moment, which I've already talked about before with Matt, was the only part I got a little teary eyed with. Was when Ahsoka and Anakin are walking on the deck, and she gets the salutes, and then walking into the room where they're all helmets painted, salute her, and just the respect and the lines that are given of just, you know, we acknowledge, you know, the fact that Anakin says that they know what you did for them, you know, and the respect that she's given, even though she's no longer a Jedi, like that just really hit home. And then the fact that you know that this is the last time Anakin and Ahsoka are going to see each other.
Yep.
That really just got me in the feels, and I really have the feels.
I got the feels real bad, man.
The feels. But then, of course, like I've already said,
what is this water coming from my eyes?
Mama
said
I wasn't a real boy after I wrote the Rudolph story.
I totally went with Flash Gordon on that one, where you're like, she has water leaking from his eyes. They call them tears. It's a sign of their weakness.
That's
and
why
then, of course,
smile.
Yeah, exactly. And then my favorite was what I just said in episode 3 with Maul, the hallway scene. You cannot not love that scene because it's what I want, in
really
things.
Cool, yeah.
Agreed.
Jay, your favorite sequence?
The final 4 of them, I really loved, and it's kind of like almost separate of. But I did really love the opening scene, just the whole interplay between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I thought was just a lot of fun, and it even had like the bang.
Yes, they used the Return of the Jedi music. Yeah.
And just like it was just fun. Like again, just Anakin being show off, like just hitting all the character points really well. I thought it was just a lot of fun. So that was like my fun. I agree with the whole presenting or the saluting and everything. That was another one. And again, I think that last scene was just so poignant and so beautiful. To me, I saw it as, kind of answering to Greg's email too, I saw it as him knowing that Ahsoka's alive, because who buried all those clones and who would bury all those clones?
Oh, right.
And her leaving the lightsaber there is her walking away from Anakin.
Yeah.
That's how he's probably thinking about it. She's walking away from me.
But yet,
I like that.
you don't. That's also questionable too, because the very first thing that he says in Rebels, when they're in the plains, is, "The apprentice lives." So it's not 100% sure that he knew.
But he might be thinking.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just kind of like she doesn't know who Vader is, even though like she should know who Vader is. Because, so I mean, it's just that confirmation.
She probably doesn't want to believe it's him, right? It's just like, I don't know.
Colleen, what was your favorite moment or moments from this last 4 that stood out to you?
So I also love the scene where Ahsoka walks in and sees them wearing her face mask. Like, I also almost got teary-eyed at that point. I love that. I love like the symbolism. I love when people. I don't know. I like those kinds of moments in movies.
You love when people each other.
I know. And no, I found that just so, I don't know, so sweet.
It was very sweet.
And this is the meaning behind it all. And I did not know that was the last time that Anakin and Ahsoka see each other until Jay told me that was the last time.
Well, it's in Rebels. She says the last time I saw him, he was going off to save the Chancellor.
I know. Yeah. I didn't put that together at that point.
It's fine. You're just not a real fan.
I'm just not a real fan. I'm not. I like Star Wars.
You can be a fan, Colleen. It's not like you have to be like dyed in the wool, like it's like runs through your veins.
I told you 100 times.
So, any favorite action sequence? Because I know that you like blow up stuff, clearly because of your love.
I love blow up stuff. I love blow up stuff.
Different types of blow up stuff.
No, I like the I like that kind of blow up stuff. The more Bruckheimer, the better.
I don't think you heard the joke.
Oh, I heard the joke. I just was ignoring it.
You always ignore me. So
just like I said, Anakin and Padme on the show.
I thought the scene where
you're going where I cannot follow. I always thought it was funny how she kind of had a weird Irish accent all of a sudden when she says that line. She's like, "You're going where I can't follow."
Well, it's the same as like Leia. I could smell your foul stench when I was brought on board, and you're like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?"
Well, she had been in the theater in England for like a show for like. Okay, Colleen.
I liked the part. I thought that it was really cool the way that she like trapped Rex, and then the whole sequence with the tension of, are they going to get the door open before they get the chip out? I thought that was just, I thought that was cool. I was nervous, and then when at the very end, Jay and I just looked at each other. We were like, okay.
It's really hard paring it down because I just love how all of these just lock together. And I know that Nick had made the offhanded comment to me the other night about how the last one was the weakest. How dare you?
Well, that's because
you kick it, Burke.
No, it's because I kind of the first viewing I said I was not my favorite of the four. It was the least my favorite of the four, and I think that's probably still my opinion. I like the fourth one. I'm not here to knock.
It's okay. It's okay. No,
but like I said, it's because my expectations coming from 2 and 3, which were so action packed. When this one was, I mean, it was still had action in it. But like I said, in my brain, like I said, I wanted that mall conflict, and I always kind of want that little bit of darker edge. So, but then after my second viewing, I got that. I got symbolism. I got why it was good. I got, so I can admit
I'm just giving you shade. Look, the first episode to me was like near perfection.
Yeah.
Like it's so like it just every little aspect of that first episode is just like so good that it's like a cheeseburger and fries and a shake. It's just like boom, give me a toy and I'm done. And so
burger and lightsaber.
Would you like an apple pie with that?
I really love the whole like her and Rex flying down to the surface and all of the Mandalorians in the sky. So that action sequence is just
that's so freaking cool.
So it's a toss up between that and then
like the pent up because that's the first time we really got to see Ahsoka.
Yes, like her flying through the vehicle and it's. So good.
Me and Matt said that on that recording of that episode is that I actually love that scene as well because you see her fall right back into her element like that, and and I love the fact that she looks at Rex like we're saying, like Matt was saying, like they have a great platonic relationship, and then she's like, "Race you to the bottom," and then after all this awesome action scene, and then lands, does the superhero landing, and then deflects all that, and then when Rex finally lands, she just gives him this great grin, it's like beat you, and like it was a great scene.
So that action sequence, and then I would have to say that I love really beautiful imagery, and those last two scenes of the graveyard of the clones and Rex and Ahsoka, not much is said at all. Nothing needs to be said. It just it says so much, and it's like a beautiful painting, and then for it to cut to the Vader sequence. So I love that. And I love how it ended, and it ended strong. It was very satisfying. We can say that there's some fluff episodes throughout all of Clone Wars, but in the end, the entire series was really solid. And I know that a lot of listeners, just even within the Jay and Jack community, have been turned on to Clone Wars because we've been talking about it so much, and coming around to see like just the beauty and the nuance that and let's face it, like the old school Lucasfilm logo at the very beginning is a definite nod to George Lucas and saying like, tip of the hat to you, sir. Like this is it. We're going to finish it strong for you. And that is all I will gush about. There are so many little moments. Like I said, I love, to me, the part that if I cried is when she takes off his helmet and tells him that he's a good soldier. I love that moment. It's so, they're surrounded. They know that they're like up against the odds, and just that heartwarming connection that they make in that moment. And just the fact that she's like, no, we're not going to kill any of them. And he's just like, they will kill you, and just really great. Love that it finished strong. And if you go onto IMDb, it's so funny because you look at like the story arc, and they all have like 9.9s basically, like ratings. You look at the Ahsoka arc from the middle of the season, and it's just like 6, 6.2, which it's not to take anything away. Like I said, I think that as we talked about, the first step forward, we're setting up what Rex went through. That set up what Ahsoka went through and how they got to this moment. And
the Bad Batch stuff is great. People didn't like the Bad Batch.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying anything about the Bad Batch. I think they're two different kinds of stories altogether. And that was something that at the end of the day, when you look at the Clone Wars as a whole, as a series, that is what they did so masterfully, is they said, here's a story about a bunch of R2 units being led by a micro Jedi, basically, you know? Like here...
He was just like a map analyzer, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he's not a Jedi.
He wasn't even like... He was supposed to be like an army guy, but he was like, actually, I just read the maps.
Yeah. But the fact that they showed all of... It expanded the Star Wars universe in a way that just made it better, you know?
And proved that... And in Rebels too, like this, the whole proved that Disney didn't have to do what they did with the sequel trilogy. Like, because there's just so much there. There's just so much, and it's all good, you know.
And to that point, and Nick and I have talked about this ad nauseum. My biggest complaints, and I come back to this about the sequel trilogy, and I love some moments in the sequel trilogy. Do not get me wrong. What didn't work with it is that they didn't play nicely with each other. And everything that Filoni does or touches has that knowledge of saying, like, this works with that and this works with this, and it all clicks together. Even with The Mandalorian, that's what's working with it, is that it has that Star Wars fan knowledge,
and it's
in the engine.
You know,
it works.
Because I think Kathleen Kennedy's contract runs out end of this year or next year, and I'm hoping that Filoni takes over after her. But
Nick has it on his watch.
Yeah.
Sorry, your phone. Okay, this episode has gone super long.
Whoever's listening to this
okay, sure.
Whoever's listening to this, they need to make a meme of Kathleen Kennedy as Carol Baskin and Joe Exotic.
Yes.
We're in Star Wars.
That's Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. People of the nets figure this out. That is above my pay grade. If you enjoyed this show and what we do on the Owen and Beru's barbecue, because we don't always fire at the grill, but when we do, we're going to give you some good stuff. And I really appreciate having Jay and Colleen, both of you, on the show today. So thank you
for having us.
Yes, thank you for letting me tag along.
Colleen,
we wanted you on here. I did.
Yeah, Colleen, you are more than welcome to join us anytime. Seriously, you bring the sizzle to the grill. Literally.
I definitely bring the Frank's Red Hot sauce to the meat.
So to that point, though, if you want to help out this show, and who doesn't, you can send us your emails at theforceiswelldone@gmail.com, just like Greg did. Rate and review us on iTunes. We would appreciate that. Go on to jandjack.com/Amazon. Buy all of your Darth Maul needs.
Patron. Become a patron.
Thank you, Nicholas.
I wasn't sure. You were going off. I was just making sure you said it.
You can also go to jandjack.com/Amazon and buy The Night That Rudolph Died. Nick's new cartoon.
It is a classic.
They say that Santa cried. He cried the night that Rudolph died. What a night it really was.
What a night.
And China's tough.
If you love all of this stuff that we do, you can go to jandjack.com, become a patron member by clicking on the patron link there. A lot of people at all sorts of levels help this show make it possible, and we appreciate what you do. We do. And I would like to, at this point, thank some special patrons who, some of you really like the fact that I change up your names on this show, and here you go. These are all Clone Wars themed, specifically this final. So we have Tears in My Eyes, Tack. Execute Eckhart Richter 66.
Oh my god, I love that. That was pretty funny.
Jedi Master Maggie. Escape Pods Are Gone, Ed. Just in Time, Joanne. And Gar Saxon Greg. Ooh, thank you all for doing. I was trying to come up with something GG.
True,
like,
you're right. Alliteration,
so, little alliteration. Yeah. So, thank you all for doing what you do, for making this show possible. And this was a great show. It was 1 in 6 million.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.